Go live. Okay, so in a couple seconds, we should be live. Let me get the... Yeah, okay, so this is the link right here. If you ever wanted to take a look at the live stream on YouTube, you could do so from the following URL right here. But otherwise, let's start our class. Okay, so we're doing... Here we go. Okay, so this is Hacker Frogs After School Web App Hacking Basics Part 4. So we've only have a few more classes left in the entire course, actually. So we're going to be going up until Part 8, and that's going to be the end of the Hacker Frogs program. Well, at least this part anyways. We're going to take a Christmas break after that, and then we're going to, well, hopefully we're going to start back up in either January or early February. All right, so this is the 4th Intro to Web App Hacking workshop, and in the previous workshop we learned about the following web app hacking concepts. We learned about source code analysis. Source code analysis is the process of analyzing the code of a piece of software with the goal of deeper understanding regarding its function. So there were a couple of levels of the Natus game where we had some code to look at, and we had to figure out what the password is based on the code that we found there. It's a common technique used in software security testing, but it requires the software source code be readily available. So you might think that this is kind of impossible because most of the time the source code is on the server side, which means that you wouldn't be able to see it. But when you do security testing for companies, the companies will usually give you a copy of the source code that you can look at so that you can identify security vulnerabilities in it. We also learned about URL parameters last class. URL parameters are variables attached to the end of the URLs. So for example, in this URL over here, everything after this question mark over here are URL parameters. They're often used to send search queries to web servers, but they can be used to retrieve other data as well. And we learned about local file inclusion. Local file inclusion is a web app vulnerability where arbitrary local web server files can be accessed through a web interface. So we were able to look at arbitrary other files on the web server through this local file inclusion vulnerability in the last session. But let's continue where we left off. So this is Natus 8. Is this Natus 8? Let me check my notes. We should be working on Natus level 9 in today's session. Let me just grab those notes real quick. This is session 4. All right, so everybody, I want you to go ahead and go to this GitHub page over here. And this is going to have all of the links we need to do today's lesson. We're going to be doing Natus level 9 and Natus level 10. And we're also going to be doing a challenge over at the tryhackme.com website. So if you don't have an account over at tryhackme.com, please let us know. And you can also go to this link right over here, tryhackme.com, and you can sign up for a free account over there. So this is important because we're going to be using one of the tryhackme.com modules to learn about a certain vulnerability today. So if you don't have an account, go ahead and go to that website and make an account. You don't need to pay. Everything that we're going to be doing is going to be free materials, so no worries about that. But in the meantime, let's go over to Natus level 9. So down in the Natus CTF links and passwords section over here, we've got Natus 9. Go ahead and go to that website. Use the username Natus9 and this password right here. So you just need to copy this, then go to the Natus9 website over. So mine is over here. The username is going to be Natus9. Password is whatever you just copied. Click on sign in. Okay. All right. So everybody, if you managed to sign into Natus level 9, please type in the chat 999, everything's mine. Smiley face. Okay, great to see, great to see. Some people are logging in. And we've got this web page over here. It says find words containing. So what does this mean? So we've got an input field over here. We can click on search. There's some source code here as well. But before we do the source code, let's do a little test and click on search. So we searched for the word test over here, and it looks like it's getting every word in some sort of some sort of file here that has the word test in it. So test, test, test. Okay. So we're going to go back. So if you take a look here, there's some URL parameters in here as well. So there's the word needle. Needle equals test and submit equals search. So this doesn't necessarily mean that we're doing local file inclusion again, but let's go back to the original landing page over here, and let's take a look at the source code and see what's going on inside the app. So on the Lattice 9 landing page here, go ahead and right-click on the View Source Code and put it in a new tab. So I'll remind certain users that if you want to look at the source code, you might need to use a certain other web browser. Okay, so let's take a look at the source code that's going on here. So does anybody know what kind of code this is? So we see these brackets right here. It's bracket question mark and question mark bracket. You might remember from the last time, it's the same programming language. If you think that this is PHP code, then you are correct. But if you didn't know that this was PHP code, you could always just copy the entire code snippet over here. And then you could go to something like ChatGPT and ask for analysis. Please, oh, my login is expired. I guess I need to log in again. Is it going to make me log in? It's going to make me log in. Okay, let me log in really quick. Let's see. Okay, let me grab my password. Okay, so we could ask something like ChatGPT to analyze the code. So where were we? Over here? Right. So I'm just going to copy all the code here. Then I'm going to go over to ChatGPT. I'm going to ask it, please analyze this code. And then paste in the code. And what does it say? Okay, so it identifies this as PHP code, and it says that it allows users to search for a specific keyword in the file dictionary.txt using the grep command. So what this little application is doing is it's actually using a Linux command. So let's take a better look over here. Okay. So key equals blank. So this is an empty string. So this is the key variable over here. And if array key exists, so if this needle exists, which is a post web request over here, then the key is going to be whatever the user supplies to it over here. So key equals the needle in the web request. So if the key is not blank, then it's going to run this function right over here. And this function is called pass-through. So this function inside of PHP is called pass-through, and it basically means that it's going to run a system command. So in this case, the system is a Linux system, so it's going to run a Linux system command, and it's going to run this grep command. So grep with the key as the variable inside of this file right here, dictionary.txt. So does anybody remember what the grep command does? If you know what the grep command does, please let us know in the chat. Otherwise, I'll explain it in a minute if nobody knows. Let's see, Cybernerd Dante in Twitch chat says it looks for strings inside of binaries. So that's partially correct. It looks for strings inside of whatever input you give to it, it's going to look for those strings. So it doesn't need to be a binary, it could be any other type of file. But what it does is it basically pulls out little pieces of text. So whatever pattern you give to it, it's going to look inside of either a file or some other input, and it's going to get those little pieces of text. So if we go over to this page over here, and we remember we're looking for the word test, we click on search. So basically, this is running grep on a file that's called dictionary.txt, and it pulls out every word that has the word test in it. And that's what the application is doing. So we're going to talk about a very specific type of vulnerability today, because this app is using a Linux command inside of its operation here. So let's take a look. So what we're talking about today is called OS command injection. So sometimes you'll hear it being called command injection or just called injection. But operating system OS command injection is a web app vulnerability where arbitrary OS commands can be performed on a web server through a web interface. So first off, some people think it's very clever to be able to use the system to output stuff in a web app. And it's not necessarily a bad thing to do, but the thing is that if you don't do it in a careful way, you could have people injecting their own commands into your web app. So OS command injection is a serious vulnerability and can often lead to complete compromise of the web server. And if so, the web server can be used as a foothold to attack other machines on the network. So if for some reason a bad person finds OS command injection on a web app, then they could potentially break into the web app by using system commands and then try to take over the web server from there. So let's take a look at the web app one more time. So this is giving a Linux command, and we can actually interrupt the Linux command that is being given here because our user input is right here. So it's grep and then our user input and then dictionary.txt. If we decide to mess with this command over here, we could actually do anything we want on this web server. So let's demonstrate how. So for the people who are just coming in, we're working on Natus level 9, and you can get the password for Natus level 9 on this page right here. So go ahead and go to that GitHub page over here, and there's the link for Natus level 9 as well as the username and the password. Go ahead and use this information to log into Natus level 9. Okay, so back over at the web app, let's just go back to the landing page. So in the landing page, what we're going to do is we're going to inject our own command into whatever's happening in the web app here. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to do a semicolon. So in Linux, semicolon means that we're going to stop, that's the end of a command. The end of the command is a semicolon, and a lot of other programming languages use the semicolon as the end to an instruction. So after that, we're going to ask, who am I? What user we're working as? And then we're going to comment out everything else afterwards. So the semicolon over here is going to stop the current command. The who am I is our own command. And then the hashtag over here, the hash symbol is going to comment out everything, the rest of the command. So if we go over here, it's going to be grep I and then stop, and then our command, who am I, and then this dictionary.txt we're going to comment out. So we're going to ignore this. So when we run this command, it says we're user natus9. So what we've done here is we've injected our own commands into this web app. So we could do all sorts of stuff. So we could do, as long as we put everything between this semicolon and this hash symbol here, we could do lsla to see what's inside of this directory. So this is, it's basically running commands from the web app here. So it's got dictionary, index, index.php, a bunch of stuff over here. We could read the etc password file by using this command cat/etc/password, and we can get all this output over here. So this is really bad for security. This is basically the worst thing that can happen, because it lets any old person who can access this app run system commands on the underlying web server. So, but what do we want? We want to get the password for the next level. So the password for the next level is inside of a file called, I think it's /etc/natus_webpass. So this is the directory, and we want the password for natus level 10. So it would be /natus10. So everybody, I want you to try this on your own. This is the file that we're looking for. So go ahead and try using the OS command injection to read this file over here. Okay, so Methodical on Twitch asks, can we echo a binary onto the device and run it through the search bar? So I don't think this machine is internet capable. So I don't think you're able to upload any files to this machine. But on other machines you might be able to. Sometimes you're able to upload stuff to the web server using OS command injection. All right, so let's talk about the string that we're going to use to get the password. So first of all, we're going to use this string right here. Let's see. User D says, I searched but nothing came up. Okay, so the important thing that we need to do when we want to run this command is we want to put the semicolon over here at the start, and we want to put the hash symbol over here at the end. So everything in between is the command that we want to run. So the semicolon terminates the command. The cat command reads files. This is the file path to the natus10 password file, /etc/natus_webpass/natus10. And the hash symbol is going to nullify anything that follows after this command. So let's demonstrate. So let's do this together then. Over here? No, over here? Okay. So remember, it's going to be semicolon space, and it's be cat space /etc/pass wd. And remember, this is oh no, it's not this. It's /etc/natus_webpass/natus10 space and then the hash symbol. So let me copy this and put it in the chat for everybody. Okay. So when we run this command, then we get the password over here. So this is the contents of the password. Let's copy that. And then let's navigate over to Natus level 10. So over here, you can just edit the address and then go over to Natus level 10. It's going to ask us for a username and password. Natus 10, and the password is whatever you just copied, paste it in, click on sign in, and then we're in. Okay, so everybody, if you managed to steal the password and log into Natus 10, please type in the chat Natus 10 again, smiley face. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple of different levels that that have to do with OS command injection, and then we're going to try using the TryHackMe platform and do some more OS command injection over there. So Natus level 10, we used OS command injection. So sorry, in Natus level 9, we used OS command injection to get the password. But in Natus level 10, it's slightly different. It says, for security reasons, we now filter on certain characters. So filter on certain characters, what does that mean? So if we go over here and we try the same thing, we try semicolon who am I hash and then click search. It now says that the input contains an illegal character. So illegal character means that we can't use certain characters when we're typing in this field over here. Let's take a look at the source code again. So we're going to right click, open this in a new tab. So over here, this is almost identical to the code in the last level, but there's something slightly different. So can anybody spot the different code in here that's getting in the way? So if your answer is, right, okay, user D has it correct. So there's a check that happens over here. So the check is, it's going to look for, pregmatch is going to look for certain characters inside of the key variable here, and it's actually going to look for these characters right here. Actually, it's only looking for these three characters. So it's looking for the semicolon, it's looking for this pipe character, and it's looking for the and character over here. So if whatever you send to the web app contains these characters, then it's not going to do this function right here, but instead it's going to print out input contains an illegal character. So we need to work around this. So this is so in security, what we like to call this is we call it a filter bypass. So this is a filter right here, these characters. So we need to find some way to bypass this filter. So does anybody have any, if you have any suggestions of how we should bypass the filter, let us know. But one thing to keep in mind is that this is the command that's being run. This Linux command here, so it's grep I dictionary.txt with the key over here as the input. So the key is the user input. So what's interesting about the grep command is that the grep command can be run with multiple files at the same time. So we've got dictionary.txt, but does anybody know what the file is that we want to read? In the previous level, we read a certain file to get the password, but what file do we want to read to get the password in this level? So in the last level, it was the /etc/ /natus_webpass /natus10 file. So in this case, we should be looking at the /etc/ /natus_webpass natus11 file. So we can actually grep I for something and then supply another file. So whatever we're looking for as the key, and then space, and then the password file, but also run it on the dictionary file over here. So let me demonstrate. So over the web app here, we can look for something. Let's say we look for the word root, and we try looking for inside the etc. password file. And we can still use this hash because the hash is not indicated in the source code here. It's not one of the illegal characters. So when we search, when we execute this, we actually find this line from the etc. password file. So this line is actually returned to us because we weren't looking in the dictionary.txt file. We were looking in the etc. password file. And the dictionary.txt file, we eliminated that with this quote over, with this hash over here. Okay? So we can also look for any instance of the word natus inside of this file as well. And that's going to return us all the natus users in that file as well. So let's take a look at what we're going to be doing to read the file that we want to over here, okay? It's this. So we're going to look for the letter A inside of the etc. natus_webpass /natus11 file, and then we're going to give the hash to eliminate the dictionary.txt file. So the A is an argument to the grep command searching for the letter A. And then we specify the file that's going to be searched, which is the natus11 password file. And then we supply the hash symbol, which is going to get rid of the other part of the command. So we're injecting it into this part right over here. Kevnon has just followed on Twitch. Thank you very much for following, Kevnon. Okay, so we're using grep I, but this is eliminated, and we supplied the pattern we're looking for as well as the file. So let's demonstrate this. So over here, we're going to search for the letter A, and this is the command we're going to give. So you can go ahead, and I don't think you can copy this directly. If you're able to copy this directly, you can go ahead and just use this, but you can also just type it in. So it's going to be A, and then space, and then etc. /natus_webpass /natus11 space, and then this hash symbol. So when we search this, it gives us the password. Can anybody tell us why it gives us the password? So there's an important reason, because we use the grep command and we looked for a pattern. What was the pattern? So the pattern we looked for was the letter A. And because there's a letter A in this password, then it came back to us. So it printed this entire line and it gave it to us. If for some reason there wasn't an A in the password, we could just repeat we could repeat this over and over again with different letters until we eventually got the password. So we might try, if A didn't work, then we could try B. If B doesn't work, we could try some numbers. But basically, just keep on using it until we hit a letter that's actually in the password. So okay, let's try copying this and logging into the next level. So once again, if there's something that you don't understand about what's going on in the commands that we're giving, please let us know in the chat and we'll try to explain better to you what's going on. But we can adjust the address over here and we can log into Natus level 11. So the username, Natus11, password, paste it in, sign in, and we're in. All right, so everybody, if you're able to log into Natus level 11, please type in the chat, what is it? What rhymes with 11? 11 heavens, smiley face. So if you can log into Natus level 11, please type it into chat. Thank you. Okay, so what we're not, so this is the last Natus level that we're going to be dealing with, because we're talking about Zor encryption, which is a weird jump in difficulty, and we're not going to be talking about Zor encryption in today's class. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using another platform to continue our education on OS command injection. So let's go over to TryHackMe. One more time, if you want to get all of the links for the stuff that we're doing today, go ahead and go to this GitHub page. You're going to need to have a TryHackMe account, but after you've logged into TryHackMe, you can go ahead and go to this room over here. So it's under TryHackMe Test Room, and let me just provide the link in the chat. So I'm already logged in, so I'm able to. So what I want you to do is I want you to log into the TryHackMe platform and then go to this page, DVWA. It stands for Dang Vulnerable Web Application. So let's demonstrate what it looks like when you first come onto it. So, okay. All right, everybody. If you manage to navigate to this DVWA page after logging into tryhackme.com, please type in the chat, DVWA ready to go. Smiley face. Once again, if you're having any troubles, technical difficulties logging in, please let us know, and we'll try to help you out. Okay, so the first thing you want to do after you've loaded up the page over here, if you haven't joined this room already, there's going to be a green button over here called Join Room. I want you to click on that. And that's going to give you access to the rest of the materials on this in this module. After that, I want you to click on Task 1, DVWA. And it says here that DVWA is an awesome virtual machine commonly utilized in training and testing of new tools. This room is unguided and acts purely as a testing environment. So you're also going to see a Start Machine button over here. So what you need to do to interact with the room is you need to do two things. So the first thing is to click on this button over here, the green one that says Start Machine. That's going to start up the DVWA machine for for you, and it's going to see this. You're going to see this target machine information banner over here, and there's going to be an IP address that shows up here in about a minute. It shows an expiry time. This is going to last for about an hour. The second thing you want to do is you want to click on this button right over at the top of the page. It says Start Attack Box. So the attack box is the machine that we're going to be using to actually access this machine that's starting up over here. So after you've clicked on the Start Machine button, I want you to go back up to the top of the page and click on the Start Attack Box button. After you've clicked on it, then you're going to see your web page split into two, and it should say your machine is initializing. So if you've got this split over here and it says your machine is initializing, and you also see the target machine information on the left-hand side of the screen, please type in the chat, "My machines are spinning up." Smiley face. So this is going to take a little bit of time to load. It should be about 2 minutes or so. But waiting around for 2 minutes is sometimes it feels like a really long time. But if you have any questions about anything that we've been talking about today, you can go ahead and type it in the chat, and we can answer some questions while we're waiting. Let's see. CyberNerd Dante on Twitch says, "Thank goodness for OpenVPN." Thank goodness. Thank goodness. If you can also access the machines on TryHackMe with your own machine if you use OpenVPN, but we're not going to be talking about how to do that. It's a bit complicated if you haven't done it before. Okay, so we should be done in about 22 seconds. So just for fun, I've got all of my bird videos. So you can watch this video over here of a bird eating peanuts. This is my favorite bird. It's called a stellar jay. It's kind of like a blue jay, but it's a West Coast version. And these guys really love grabbing a bunch of peanuts and then flying away and stashing them away for later. So they kind of hoard food for later, a bit like squirrels or other birds do this as well. It's a behavior called caching. But I think we should be done, so we're just gonna think the bird is gonna fly away in just a second or two. It's thinking about it. Okay. All right, so we should be done, and the machine should have finished initializing. So you'll know that the attack box machine is finished initializing because you see this rainbow colored terminal over here. What you need to do is you need to click into it, and you need to hit enter to dismiss the window here. Okay, so this is really squished. If we wanted to actually use this machine to do some hacking, this would not be very ideal. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this attack box machine in its own browser tab. So what we can do is we can go to the center of the screen and then go down, and at the bottom of the screen there's going to be a button called View in Full Screen. It's going to look like two arrows pointing away from each other. Go ahead and click on that. And then a new browser tab should open up with your attack box virtual machine. So the attack box is a virtual machine with a bunch of security tools on it. I don't think we're going to be using any of the security tools today, but we're going to have to use this machine to access the DVWA machine. So after your attack box has been put into its own browser tab, you can go back to the TryHackMe page, and then you can click on this button at the bottom here that's called Exit Split View. And that's going to make the web page one pane again, which means that we're going to be able to see the whole thing. All right, so if you manage to put the attack box in its own browser tab, please let us know by typing in, oh, I don't know, attack on, smiley face. Lunchbox 3XL says Ayo to you in Twitch, Lunchbox 3XL. All right, we're just doing an exercise over here with the DVWA machine. So if you have your attack box online and in its own browser tab, I want you to open up the Firefox browser in there. So you can just click on either this icon here or this icon here to open up the Firefox browser in the attack box. So while that's loading up, you can also go over to TryHackMe page, and the TryHackMe page, under the red target machine information over here, there's going to be an IP address. So the IP address, you want to click on this button over here that says copy to clipboard. So go ahead and click on that, and then go back to the attack box. In the Firefox browser, in the attack box, click on the address bar and then paste in the IP address. Okay, it's not letting us do that. So in this case, what you want to do is you want to go over to this side over here, and there's this little side button on the left-hand side of the screen. So click on the side button, and then there's going to be a clipboard button over here. So click on the clipboard button, and then click into the clipboard, and then paste. And that's going to let you paste in the IP address for use in the attack box. It's a bit of a pain, but paste that into the clipboard, and then click on this button over here to minimize the clipboard, and then go over to the Firefox address bar and paste in the IP address. It's a bit of a pain, but go ahead and do that. Okay, so now we see the DVWA login page. So if you manage to get this far and you see the DVWA login page on your attack box, please type in the chat, I see the login. Okay, so user D asks, what do we type in the clipboard? So over at the TryHackMe page with the underneath the target machine information, click on the target IP address, click on the copy to clipboard button, then go over to the attack box. The side button over here in the middle of the screen, click on that, then click on the clipboard, then paste in the IP address, and then close this clipboard like this. And then you can go over to the Firefox browser inside the attack box, paste in your IP address, and then hit enter. And then you'll see the DVWA login page. Okay, so to log in, you're going to need a username and password. The username is admin, and the password is password. Then click on login. Okay, so everybody, if you're having trouble logging into TryHackMe, or if you're having any troubles with any of the steps, please let us know where you get stuck, and we'll try to help you out. So after you log into the DVWA app, go down, and at the bottom over here, you're going to see this one little button called DVWA Security. You want to click on that. After you do that, you're going to see that the security level is impossible. So impossible is not the level we're at right now. So what we want to do is we want to scroll down a little bit, and we want to change this from impossible to low. So just click on the word impossible down here, and then select low, and then click on the submit button. And you need to make it so that it says security level is currently low. So if you manage to do that, let us know by typing in low, low, low in chat. Smiley face. So the reason we do this is because we can actually set the level of security on this app that makes the exercises easier or more difficult. So after that, we're going to go over to this button over here. It's called command injection. So there's home, instructions, setup reset database, brute force, and then command injection. We want to click on this one, command injection. And we'll know we're on the right page when we see this vulnerability command injection appear in the app. Let me make this a little bigger so we can see what's going on. So what's going on this page? So it says ping a device, enter an IP address. So ping a device, enter an IP address. This indicates to me that what we're doing is doing some command injection, and because what's happening in this app is that it's using the ping command from the for Linux. Well, not just Linux. Windows machines can also do ping. But if we enter an IP address, and if you don't know what IP address we should use, we can actually use the home IP address. So the home IP address is 127.0.0.1. And this basically indicates that we're trying to communicate it with ourselves. So if you click on submit, it's going to give us this Linux ping output over here. This indicates to me that there are OS commands being used by this app. So does anybody remember what method we used to do our own commands on the previous app over at Nadas? We used a certain set of special characters, and then we put our own character in between there. Does anybody remember what those characters were? Okay, so let's see. Cyberner Dante says it was the semicolon and the pipe character. So what we did previously was we used the semicolon character, and we also used the hash character. So the hash character is going to comment out anything that's coming after whatever command is being used, and whatever we put in between the semicolon and the hash symbol is the command we're going to run. So in this case, we can run who am I, and then click on submit. And it tells us we are www-data. Okay. So we actually have OS command injection on this because we interrupt the command using the semicolon. We comment out whatever comes after the command with the hash symbol here. And we can actually do whatever OS commands we want on the system. So if we wanted to take a look at the etc password file, then we can actually see all the users on the system. So I think just for fun, let's demonstrate how we can actually get shell access on this machine through OS command injection. So let me demonstrate. So this Firefox browser, what we're going to do is we're going to minimize it. And then we're going to open up a terminal on our attack box. So you can click on this icon here or this icon here. And this is going to open up our Linux terminal. So let me make this nice and big. We see here that we're running as the root user. And what we need to do is we need to set up a listening device. So the listening device is going to catch whatever shell that we're going to receive from the web server. If you don't quite understand what's going on, what we're going to do is we're going to try to log into the vulnerable machine running the app by having it send a connection to our attacking machine. So we need to have a listening connection, and we're going to be using netcat to listen. So we're going to use netcat to set up a listener device on our port 443 on the attacking machine, which is this one right here. So go ahead and give that command. It's nc space dash nlvp space 443. Okay, and then it should say listening on this over here. So on port 443 on the attacking device, the attack box here, we're listening for a connection from the DVWA machine. So back over at the DVWA machine, we can just click on this Firefox web browser button over here. We're going to give our semicolon and our hash over here, but we're also going to give another netcat command to connect back to our attacking box. And let me just grab a command. So this is going to be netcat, and this is what's called a named pipe reverse shell. So you don't necessarily, it's okay if you don't understand what's going on in this command, but just know that we're going to be using this to have our vulnerable DVWA server connect to our attacking machine. So let me paste this into the chat. This is the command right here. If you don't understand what's going on in the command, that's fine. But and you don't necessarily need to do this yourself. But whoops, that's not it. Okay, I'm just going to copy this to my clipboard. Okay. So, but what this command is going to do is it's going to have the this DVWA machine connect to our attacking machine. So I need to provide it with an IP address. My IP address for the attack box is right here. So 10.10.56.1.16. 10.10.56.1.16. And that's going to be on port 443. Okay. So I'm going to give this command, and then I'm going to minimize the Firefox window, and then we see we've received a connection from the other web server. For the web server that's running DVWA, it sent a connection to our attacking machine. If we type who am I, it says that we're the www data user. So what we've done is we've actually broken into the web server by using the OS command injection vulnerability there. So from here, we can go over to the rest of the file system, and we can see all the files on the web server. We can actually go into the web server and see all the files that are being run over here. So this is the contents of the web server directory. There's the DVWA directory. And so this is how bad guys would do it. So they would take the OS command injection vulnerability, and then they would set up their own netcat listener, and then they would have the vulnerable server send them a connection to the vulnerable machine, and then they would be able to take it over from here. But if If you have any questions about what exactly is going on, you can go ahead and put them in the chat. But we're kind of running short on time, so what we're going to do is we're going to wrap up today's lesson, okay? Okay, so let's review the web app hacking concepts we learned in today's workshop. So we learned about OS command injection. So OS command injection is a web app vulnerability where arbitrary OS commands can be performed on a web server through a web interface. OS command injection can often lead to complete compromise of the web server, and if so, the server can be used as a foothold to attack other machines on the network. So in the next Hacker Frogs After School web app hacking workshop, we're going to learn about the SQL database language, which most web apps use for their user account credentials. So we're going to be learning about a database language because we're going to be learning about a very famous vulnerability called SQL injection. And in order to learn about that, we have to actually learn what the database language is itself. But before we go, I'm going to recommend there's a picoctf exercise that deals with OS command injection. And let me just get the link for that. Was it here? Okay. So over here, down at the bottom, you should see this session's challenges. Over here, there's the CAAS challenge. I want you to go ahead and try that if you have some extra time. If you're not able to figure it out, you can always watch the YouTube walkthrough that I provided the link for over here. So everybody, thank you very much for coming today. What we're going to do is I'm just going to take a couple of minutes to finish the class over on Zoom, and then we're going to be doing some more hacking exercises in a couple of minutes. But I'm going to send the people on the live stream over to a Be Right Back screen while I finish off the class on Zoom. Okay, everybody?